Hello, listeners. Hi, my name is Madhavi, and I'm so happy to have you on Upptalk. You have come to the right place if you want to learn about IT and do really cool things with your hands. We are not just another IT company when I say Upptalk. Think of us as your learning partner dedicated to helping you reach your full potential. We have top notch hands on courses to help you build your business, whether you are new to technology or want to move up in your current job. Let's look around this as our first step towards learning.
Yesterday, we have one bullet or application HRMS. Now, here we populated the attribute and the same time we also created extended attribute. Now this manager thing is not coming up. If you see this data, women data or the employer here, if you see this, we have this data. This is one user, James Smith, employee is Lena manager, ID is null. Full name is James Smith. This is the email ID. Now we have another user, Johnson, whose email ID is 1A2A. First name, last name, manager ID. If you see manager ID is Hene, that means this. And this is for saying this for user. That means for all these four users, we have manager ID is Wene. That means Lele is what? James Smith. James Smith is basically manager of all these four users. Same way we have this user Robert Brown 1A2A3, this user Linda Dibis. The same way this four users. We have this manager ID 1A2A. What is 1A2A? 1A2A is again Mary Johnson. That means Mary Johnson is manager of all these four users. This data is again provided by the HR team to us. We need to define that mapping and set up on that. Correct manager should show here for each user. For that reason, what we need to do is go to Global Setting, Identity Mapping. Manager field is automatically provided here by default. First, we need to perform the mapping here. Source Manager ID from the HRMS application. Add save this. Now add new attribute. One more employee ID. Because we need to match this. When employee ID match with the manager, ID make a relationship. We have to also get one employee ID field here. Employee ID and display name will be it. Add source from the HRMS. Select user temporary here. Save this. This is done. Now we onboard this application, we create extended attribute. The same time, I'll slowly show you different feature of Sailpoint. One important feature and widely used feature is advanced analytics. And analytics is nothing but just a result through which you can search the data, different data based on the query, like what is query. For example, you want to search user by first name, it's James. You can put James here. And you can make a run search here. It will bring you this user. Go back to refine search to again show this. Now here run search again this field. As of now, it's showing one field username. If you want to populate more field here, go back to refine search here, the section field to display which field you want to display. I want to display first name, last name, email. That is enough. Run search. Now, this time it will show all those fields which are selected. Username, email, first name, last name. These are those fields that we want to display, and this is the search criteria. As you can see, this is a search criteria. You can search by user, by first name, last name, username, display name, email manager. Application wise, you can also search. Again, there's many criteria. Using that, you can make a combination also and you can search. Example, James Smith If I run this search, run search, you see. Now let's say you have a different criteria. Let's say is an active to false. You see just many users, one total and 49 users. That means 49 active users. Run search. Now it gives you very easy feature. You can simply click on this. It will download this data into a PDF form. All this data. This is the search result. Click on this PDF. Now you will see this PDF generated here, advanced search result. This date, who created SP admin. This is a data. You want to generate a CSV, click on this. It will generate a CSV. I should report. See, this is a data employee. First name, last name, username. This way we can generate the data. Now, if you see, we have to go back to the fence or the fences. Now you see, here you have different field, which are tried by Sailpoint, but you don't have that field that we create here, department or region. Those fields are not there because when we create this mapping, those attributes stored in XML, but there is no column created for those attribute in the Sailpoint tables. For that reason, what we need to do, go to department, make this searchable. Now what will happen? There will be a specific column created in the database table. See this? That's it. Now refresh this page. Now you'll see department here. You see department. As of now, that column is just now created. There is no value. You'll see blank. We have to run the irrigation. I'll simply run this irrigation. HRC aggregation executing background. Once this is done, all the value will be stored in that particular column in the database table. Now refresh this page. Click on this drop down. Now you see all values of the departments are coming up here. Now based on the department type, it's executive management. Let's say remove this criteria, or let be multiple criteria. We can search all the user. These are the total 3 user who following this criteria department is equal to executive management and is an active equal to false. These are the 3 users who are following that criteria. This is the advantage of making attributes searchable. Now we were trying to map this manager. For that reason, we have this employee field that we created in order to perform a search. Sailpoint says that you need to define those attributes searchable. When they have stored in the separate column, then only I can make a search. I can make, I can follow the processing. Here again, this employee we need to make a searchable. It's able state this. This employee is done. And manager is done. Let's now refresh this page. You will again see employee here, but this value will be blank. We need to run the task again. You run this task multiple times in the real environment because all the setting up will be already done one time only. You will not, play the settings in the product moment. Only after one time. We don't need to run this task multiple times. Hey, a quick question. How you are able to do 2 employee IDs? Employee ID we have here in this data file and authority to employ. This is the here employee ID. But did we create the same employee before? No, we didn't create employee ID attribute before. I thought we generally do. No, we didn't create this. And for we created only first name, last name, email, and other things, not the employee ID. Employee ID I've just created here. You see this? Only today it is created. Not only today? Correct. I was going crazy. I thought you already have one. No. Today I created, then I marked it as a search event. It's not just coming up here. I run the task. Now it should show me all the employee here. Let me refresh this page. These are the different employee. Now this is done. Now go back to this, our main requirement manager. For that we have to go to the application from which we are sourcing the data. This is the HRS application. Here we have this correlation. We have to have two types of correlation account, correlation manager, correlation. At this time, we will only work on the manager correlation. Basically application. This is the mapping, simple mapping. You don't see any, you will not see any, configuration wizard or anything, just a simple mapping, what we need to map here whenever employee ID match with the manager ID. We have to make a manager correlation from the application attribute. We'll simply select employee ID. Whenever from this application, employee ID match with the manager ID in the Sailpoint system. So, I think I'm saying a post employee and their manager ID. Whenever I manage your ID match with the employee ID, save this. Now all the data is aggregated. Understand the difference between irrigation tasks and the refresh task. All the data is already added in the Sailpoint system. This is within the Sailpoint system. We define some new changes here in the correlation. Now, in order to generate this data, what we need to refresh task. This is a refresh handy cube task. This refresh task do a lot of things in the background. One example is it will update the managed status of all the user. We have this option selected by default. This come with this option selected. This is the option which will refresh the manager status. Basically, it will perform that mapping calculation. It will do that mapping. I wish now. This is the option. It's already selected here. We don't need to select it. Simply save and execute. Go to task. Wait for the task completion. This task is complete. Open the task results code change. Go to any warehouse. You see manager pop it here. For Mary Johnson, James Smith James is a manager. Let me open Mary Johnson. You see, Mary Johnson's manager is James Smith. And you see one more thing here, this value is coming in blue. That means it's a clickable. Sailpoint give a feature that if you click on this identity, it will open the manager. For example, I can do this. I can search for this user Maria Byte. For Maria Byte. This is the Maria Byte user manager. I just read is 1 or 2C. Who is 1 or 2C? 1 or 2C is but Rick Jones. You see, this is the name. If I click on this, it will again load this user identity. That means we are here on this user or this user. Employed is one name. One is who's James Smith. If you click here James Smith, it will open the James Smith. Sailpoint also follow hierarchy manager hierarchy basically. This is how we configure the managers and Sailpoint. Any doubt, any question on this? I'm anyone under the manager. Do you see the employees under the manager? What do you mean by under the manager? Under every manager, the number of employees that we can see from here. Advanced Analytics, go to Advanced Analytics. First, make sure you always clear the previous search. Clear search. All sorts are removed. Now let's example, I want to search this manager and I want to see a subordinate of this manager or the subordinate who report to this manager. Let's say Mary Johnson. What I can do is manager ID. What is Mary Johnson? Let this manager's Mary Johnson and display field, let's say first name, last name. This will be enough. Run service. Now these are the 4 users who report to Mary Johnson. We can confirm from here. One is deployed. If you see, these are the 4 users, Robert, Linda, Michael, Barbara, the same user here. You can only see that on the intelligence. Yes, not in the identities. No, not in the idea. But, for example, if you click on this user, you will not see that how many users in Sailpoint report to this Albert Woods here that you will not see. But that blue color, it is showing like a link. Where is it? That means a link. It's a clickable. If you click, it will go to just that employee that manage this identity. That's it. It's not going for, and in the end, in this, there is no tab that says that from A to Z works under this person or for this user, this no manager. No, not this man is not this person, but any manager. If you go to the identity of that manager, there is no tab that says that these are the number of employees under that person. That feature is not there. That's good. I got your one. That feature is not there. For that advanced analytics, you can create that kind of a functionality for anybody, I mean forcefully. Yes, but not supported by a Sailpoint. Not supported. And then when they upgrade or something, it's not, it will wipe out. You have to again put your life on. Understood. And the intelligence is the ad hoc reports. Intelligence is the place where you have reports, kind of. This is in the intelligence. These are like 40, 50 reports are here. Based on that, you can generate different reports. Are there vanilla reports? Vanilla reports. I mean, when you open it, you will see all the configuration options. Like example, you want to change the headers. You want to change the sequence. You want to only show a few attributes. Those options is configurable directly from this, with this wizard. You want to add filter in all. For example, access review to see in report. These are the filter. You see the multiple filter. That I'll show you, for example. Now we don't have the data. I cannot run this report. How much hierarchy levels it can go. How complex or how deep it. Can you know under 1, 2, 3, how many the manager hierarchy? I mean, it will follow the sequence. Like if it is like 1000 level, 5000 level, it will follow the sequence. It doesn't follow. There is no limit. No limit. No limit. Now basically our application onboarded. The authoritative application is completely onboarded. We have defined the indies, mapping, say we populate the manager. Everything is done now in the Pro. like in the real environment, in the real situation I charting. As you know, we don't know how they will add the data in this system. They might add in, whole day, or they may in the evening, they will update this system. Based on the business requirement, we have to schedule this task. We cannot go and run this manually every time. A person is required to run this manually. We need to schedule this task based on the business requirement. Generally, what we do every morning and every evening, we schedule this task. Example HR irrigation. Click on the schedule button here. Let's say daily. Edition task. Anything like you want to configure, you can configure. Now, this is a main thing, frequency. I want to run this task daily. Select this. Schedule. Now go to schedule task. You should be a charity. Last situation is blank because this task is not scheduled yet. Now this task will schedule at 8:25. That means after 4 minutes from now, and after that it will schedule tomorrow at same time. It will schedule this time every day. Basically, this is how we schedule the task. No manual intervention is required. All clear with this? Can we schedule the same with the current expression slide? Suppose I don't want to run the other vacation during the non-working days of business. No, I can't get that. Make it happen. Non-working day is not possible. You have limitation, but using Chrome app expression, you can reduce the time. Let's say you want to do it in every 10 seconds or something like that using grown-up expression. You can, and if the possible is, writing grown-up expression, you can do that. It will only work in big days or in weekend. Then it will work. Basically, you can apply the current expression in. If I can expression in where Linux you mean. I don't have that knowledge like what is exactly current expression. I can tell you how it looks like. For example, this is a one task here and this is a task schedule that we did it. If I go to debug page, like I mentioned earlier, for each object, sale plan, create a back-end copy here. If I go to task schedule, the schedule here, this is the one that I just did it. Delia's aggregation, click on this. This is the current expression. Based on that, this sale point, calculate this frequency. When is the next scheduled? We are using this current expression. You can also, change this date and all, but I don't know how to write this. Is a does a, what is it economic? Did you mean current expression or did you mean current job? A chronic, it's a current expression only. Current expression. Also, you know this listing before little bit. You're not more. I have used a purpose when I'm working for the RP projects. You sounded pretty. Otherwise, a current expression name comes from Linux origins, and Linux had these kind of jobs are these are called batch jobs, and it's a bad job really. And in Linux they are called cron job. I get in the current expression. You can give the timing and how, when. But one thing is, you want to. You can't do non-working days or something. I think it should run every night because there are new employees every day. We need to have the delta to be loaded. I guess that's why this need to be running every single day if possible. In a big company, maybe 2 times once during the day and once during night if you have some processing time. This is the common in that case, and you can write a current expression. I think the same plan will support because based on that, it generates this, next solution. Basically, because we can call it frequency of the task that is controlled by the stone expression. You can do that on the front end too. With the front end, is there a limitation? I tell you that there are a limit. This is a task you want to schedule. Let's say edit. I want to change this. See, I cannot go like I want to schedule this task in every 15 minutes. That is a limitation. For that, you need to write a current expression and you have to, from the back end, you have to add that current expression. If you need it by the minute, specific minute and second, then you cannot do this here. Oh, these are the only option basically here that you can choose. Got. Sometimes the requirement comes like, for example, we have to schedule one task every 15 minutes or 30 minutes. In that case, we have to go back and we have to add that current expression from the back end. I don't know like how, and you can do it now. Run now is always there. Run. Run now is just, the next solution. If you want to start like next solution will be this and same time. You at present, you also want to run this task. That's all. Now there's one more thing, generally how we do this. Whenever we aggregate the data, for example, Monday morning, we will aggregate all the fresh data from HRMS system to Sailpoint. After that, we have to also run this refresh and equip once this task is done. Refresh and equip, all the data is up to date inside the Sailpoint Monday morning. Now the problem is HRMS irrigation time. If, for example, if I schedule this at the 7 am in the morning and I schedule this task 8 am in the morning, the problem is it's not mandatory that this task will finish in 1 hour. There is no way. What is the difference between those two jobs? I miss. What is the difference? HMS aggregation will aggregate the data from HMM system into Sailpoint database. And refresh task work within the Sailpoint. It will update different tables and within the data within the Sailpoint database. But it is still looking at the source system or it is not looking at the same. No. Refresh identity will not look at your source system, which is already there in the aggregation that table it will look for aggregation. Basically in the aggregation, if you see we are selecting application, that means from HRMS system. We are fetching data into Sailpoint system. Now this job is done. This is the only purpose of aggregation task. Now the data is within the Sailpoint system, but there are different component in the Sailpoint system, different tables, different process. We also, whenever we get the new data, we also want to update those process. For example, let's say tomorrow you got like 1,000 new employees. You have to also get the manager. Manager data is coming from that source, but how to upgrade that manager? That code is written within the Sailpoint. For that, we need to run that refresh anti-cube task. It will check if the any user correlation is happening. Make a correlation here like that. Basically, you can say within the system, any operation that you want to trigger, that will be triggered by the refresh anti-cube and fetching the data from target into Sailpoint system. That will be done by the aggregation task. But once you have the aggregation also happens. I mean, this batch job also runs every day, once in every day. And is the refresh identity cube too? Then, correct. A simple example is every day you may have a new data and your HRM system. We have to aggregate those data into Sailpoint system. We'll schedule this task every day in the morning. Now we have all this user here. Let's, for example, the irrigation task is triggered. That is completed now. We have all the latest user here in the system. Let's say I want to trigger some, joiner here. I want to assign some automation, like there is some automation script. Is there that now those automation event? I want to trigger here how that automation event will trigger. For that, I have to run something that is basically called by the refresh NT cube here. If you click this task, you will see many options. Let's, for example, you have defined manager mapping that will get refreshed because see it could be possible that tomorrow this user, Patrick Jenkins, leave the organization. Now, Albert Wood's manager will get update. How that will get a bit by using the refreshment, just status. Second is you have different user here. And now, as of now, we don't have policy, but we'll create policy in the coming size. Let's say we have defined some policy now within the system. The policy present, not in your organization, not on the ad system, the policies within the system, within the Sailpoint. Now you want to run that policy against all the user. How we'll do that? You go back here, you will see this one option here. Check active policy. This is option. What it will do within the Sailpoint data, it will check if any user violating the policies. They made it a two-step update every single day. It's a two-step. Basically, it's not one side. It's a two-step. Basically, I have that the third step too. Is there a third step to it? No. Third step. No third step. Basically, the purpose is basically if irrigation task will only bring data from your HRMS into Sailpoint. Now, within Sailpoint, we do many things different things. And the timing can be changed. For example, every 4 hours, we want to do something like anything that could be possible. For example, this access request. Oh, we have not covered access request part of it. There are different process that I'll show you. That is within the Sailpoint system. In order to update those process, in order to update those process data, we need to run this in the queue task. It will basically refresh all the user here. And one last question now. Do in general practice, as a best practice, do we do a complete load in the aggregation batch job or do we do a delta? Full load in, once in a week or once in a month or something like that. And then a delta every single day, but with delta. Sorry, I missed the answer. We schedule the task every day, but with a delta, it will only bring the only data. Oh, that's what I thought. We perform full aggregation in the weekend when we have, when the businesses like users are not using Sailpoints, we have more memory and process available. That time we schedule this additional task. Oh, you still do it once in a week or something like that. There are two types of aggregation jobs. One is a del job and the full data load job, which is understood. Now, every day we are bringing this data from the irrigation into Sailpoint. Now, after that, we have to gain. Once that data is aggregate, we need to run the refresh task. Now, there is no guarantee that your aggregation task will be finished by 8 am. At the SANYAM, we launched this HRMS irrigation. At AM, we want to launch the refresh and DQ. It's not guaranteed that this will be finished by IAM. Someday it can take more time. How to handle the situation? Sailpoint give one more feature, that is, you can manage a sequence. Sequence means you can define those tasks in a sequence. Only second task will be triggered only in that case once the first task is completed successfully. How to do that? Go ahead, new task. Scroll down, you will see this sequential task option to get sequential task launcher. Basically, really, irrigation and refresh. Basically, it's a combination of two tasks and both the aggregation and the refresh in a sequence. Now you'll see those task name here. First, we have to perform aggregation. I'll select that. What is the task name should be HRMS aggregation. Then the second task is a refresh and DQ. What will happen? First, Sailpoint will launch HRMS aggregation. It will wait for the completion. When that is completed, it will go to this refresh and DQ. Now it will not follow the timing. It will follow the status if it is completed. Only it will start this. Understand this. Previously, there was an issue. If the task was finished before IAM, then we are good. But if task was not finished before IAM, then we are launching the refresh and DQ at IAM. In some day, we can face overlapping issue. How to avoid that? Put this task in a sequence here. Now Sailpoint will launch HRMS irrigation. Now HRMS irrigation. If taking 5 hours to complete again, this next task will be only execute after 5 hours. Whatever time the first one, take, it will execute the second one once the first is completed for the second one. Same thing for the third one. Once the second is completed, we'll launch the third one. This is how we can maintain the sequence. Save and execute. Go to Task Wizard. First, it will launch the HRMS irrigation. Then on top of that, it will launch your refresh and DQ task. Task is basically jobs. It's a bad job really. Now you see HRMS irrigation starting complete, then refresh and DQ starting complete. This is the extraction load detail kind of process. You put tasks together. How many tasks can be put together like? Is there a limitation on that? No limitation. No limitation. You can put n number. But generally, we put tasks in a way that all tasks should get completed in the same day. Next is, next day it can start the same sequence. Now we'll onboard one application. We have an application here, Finance User. This is the existing data now. This is one application. Call it Finance, basically for Finance Department. We have this data here. This is the data in the finance team. Now, only thing we understand from here, like few things, that is, this is the employee. That means this is whatever user, let's say James Smith, employees money to see. That means James Smith has account on the financial application. The username you can see from here. You see employee is same. That means 1828 18238. These are the 4 accounts for the Richard Jackson. Richard Jackson has 4 different access using group number accounts. Payable account, receivable payroll analysis from review. That means Richard Jackson has 4 different access here on the financial system. Same way Charles Harris, if you see this record here 1823C. Charles Harris has 4 different access DP of financial, and this is financial planning plan that we study in planning. We have to onboard this data. Whenever we onboard any target application, we have to follow a few checks. One is first, we need to connect this application. We need to see how to connect this second. This is a game. Second is basically we need to see how we can map this data with the existing data. We know this is existing data we have in our system here. I didn't feel aroused how you will map, for example, Charles Harris. This is a user. This is an identity created in Sailpoint. This user is coming from the HRMS system. These are the attributes. How you will map this user with this data. We need a common attribute between this data and this. If you see, we can use employee here. This user has employee correct. When we created here this employee, it will. This is the employee that we created. Copy. This will go to the birth page. I'll open the UI configuration. Where config open this. The same way we added department and location. This is the one department and region. Sorry. I will add that search for identity view. I took it. This is the one. Let's say add the employee here. It also show up here on the first page, employee. Now refresh this page. You see, this is the employee of Charles Harris 1A2C3C, the same data we have. This is a common attribute we need to find out. We can map that, otherwise Sale House in front will know that Charles Harris account. This data is for Charles Harris. This for voice for Charles Harris House in front will identify. We need to define that common attribute. It's like a primary key. We're using the database table now. Define that application. Add new application financial. Owner, let's SP admin for now. Application that delimited vector. Select this conversation. Provide the file path. This is a file path. Copy the exit file path here. Find user.csv. Minimize this, the file path here. Delimiter is comma. This is a delimited file. Comma file has column head on the first line. Yes, we do have header here. You see headers. Let this option do the test condition. It will give you same error like it gives us in the HRMS onboarding. We'll go back to schema. Click on the discourses schema attribute. It will read all the header here. You see employee DBID after privilege that is coming up from the here. But it didn't BID to privilege. From this, we need to define a unique attribute again. We'll choose employee as a unique attribute. I'm going to choose to try it here for a display purpose. For we can use user and we can use for display purpose. We used this before. Click on the preview. It's working. Setting to test conditions working. Save this application. Now there are many issues with this data. Whenever you have to onboard any application, we have to observe this data carefully. What are the issues and what are the things that we need in order to onboard this application? To Sailpoint first, I told you this is the one we need a common attribute. I'm glad you can be used for the common attributes. Second is, when you have this attribute here, we have to define that correlation by how to define correlation. Go to Financial Application, go to Correlation tab. Here click on, you provide the name Financial Correlation. Go next here. This is again a same wizard which application attribute is map matching with the employee. This employee ID you see is in the small application attribute is employee matching with what type of attribute and Sailpoint employee. This is a 1. Click on add. Save this. Make sure you wait here. It will load this here like this. It should come here like employee. Whenever this both employee match Sailpoint will make a coalition, save this application. Coalition is done. Now the second issue with this data is the second use cases. If you see here, this user Charles Harris, for this user, data is divided into 5 rows, same for other different user. Data is divided to multiple, and why this is divided? Because that is their standard, how they are maintaining the data. That's their goal. We cannot tell them that this is not a practice or you should do something like that. Every system has their own issues. This is their data. We have to see how we can now onboard this application successfully without losing any data. Here we have this for data. And now this group member is basically what group membership that means. Charles Harris has membership on a DP group. Charles Harris has membership on financial analysis. This is a black group is basically your access on the financial system. In order to perform, as tell Sailpoint that this group attribute is not a normal attribute, it's access on the target system. We have to define one thing here. Go to financial, go to conversation, go to schema. Scroll down. This is an attribute. Edit and mark this as this 3. Now, what is the purpose of this 3 attribute? A user can hold multiple group member values. Charles Harris can hold multiple group member values. We have to mark that field as multi-valued first. Second thing, this attribute defines the access. Let me close all them, boy. This attribute defines the access that. This is a VP access, financial access. How fill, and we know we have to mark that entitlement. Say this now, go back. Go to education, create a new addition. Does account irrigation provide the name financial application name for the mission symbol? Save and execute financial account irrigation. You see accounts. Can 122 identity created 30 ITT upgrade 92. That means 92 comes up. Did this successfully? There are 3 of an account created 30. Sorry, not 330. And I intend settlement created for 1122. If I open any user, let's Charles Harris. This is a child service. Refresh this user. Go to application account. Now you see financial is coming in the same user. This is because of the coalition mapping to define because this employee ID is matching with this employee here. That's the reason Sailplan was able to create a coalition. Second thing is you see group member value. We defined as a multi-valued, but that is not coming up here. The last one is coming up here, Charles and strategy and planning. If you go to entitlement, I mentioned that if you mark this attribute as an entitlement, Sailplan will understand that this is entitlement. If you go to users entitlement tab, now you see entitlement is coming. One entitlement is coming, group members strategy and planning on the financial application account. Name is Charles Harris. Now we have covered all the scenario. One scenario is left overlapping. It's only showing this group, which is not correct. It should show all the groups correct for a single user. Sailpoint says that I cannot understand this. Data is coming into multiple. That means data is basically duplicate. I cannot handle this. I will pick the last value, whatever the last one is coming. Now we have to tell self-audit, don't do that. Merge this data into one single user and use this value for a, populating different value. This is a group number and the user have multiple group member value. How to do that? Go back to your application. This is your application. Go to Confusion page here. Go to first page, the setting. Here we define this file path delimiter and you'll see this one option merging. Click here. Did I need to be merged? Index column. Index column can be used any common unique attribute which define this row. If you see, for Richard Jackson, it depends on 1. 2 is again unique attribute. Charles Arrays 1. 1. 4, we can use BID as for uniqueness index column. Data sort, we want to return sorted or order. Yes, which column should be merged? This is the main question. We want to merge group members to populate group member and provide a center. To a destination, save this, go back to task. Go to task financial aggregation, click executing background again. Wait for the task. This is done. Scan optimize updated. Let me disable the optimization financial irrigation. Disable the optimization. It will run for all the user. It is, can it be a bit now? Source for the image if fresh. This user, Charles series. Now you'll see the difference application, account, financial, expand this. Now you see all 4 values are coming up with a different line. Basically, this user child series as a common financial application. This user holds 4 different value or 5 different value on the group member attribute. Now go to entitlement step. Now you'll see all 5 are coming up here as a separate values because we perform the merging. This is the challenge that we always be with the VC with the data. Application onboarding is easy process. If you're onboarding a different system, it doesn't matter. The problem is how the data is coming and how you have to settle down the data into your synchronous stuff. That is the main thing we need to see, and for that we have to always see how the data is coming up, and we need to do observation here. Which attribute can be used? Is there any duplication issue? Those kind of thing we need to understand from the data, because without looking at the data, you cannot understand what issue are present here in this data. Like we saw that duplication is there. That's the reason we defined it much. And now all the data is coming up properly. This is how we onboard application in Sailpoint. The first one is in the task scheduling previous discussion. For this identity refreshant on the local level, Sailpoints. Suppose, let's say, aggregation parties that skip in the scheduling mode, but another thing I run for the identity request part. Let's say, one user request operation question, either third operations request. Do we need to run the refresh test for any of the third operation tests or only for the during aggregation? And it will, that can explain you. Last but again, yes, during the any other credit request to like create or update request is coming for any of the one single user. Post that do, I need to run the refresh on the Sailpoint of Kagan. Then how Sailpoint will update. For example, now we are updating some tasks and Sailpoint is updating the data. For example, Today, user is created from the Sailpoint, and Sailpoint will know itself that the user is created successfully. How Sailpoint will update that? See, basically, when we irrigate the data, data has already come. Data will automatically come here. It's just some internal process, the internal customization that we define we want to trigger. For that reason, we have to call it refresh anti-cube. Refresh anti-cube not a mandatory task, and we cannot call it after each operation. For each operation, the end-to-end process is already there. It's just some time. We need to define customized process and we want to trigger now. We can schedule it now. This is not a mandatory task. Now talking about the other operations. For other operation, if you see, by default Sailpoint give you this few tasks scheduled which are important and main task. For that reason, Sailpoint automatically schedule this task here, perform identity request maintenance and perform maintenance. Perform maintenance. Basically, do a lot of maintenance job in the background. This task is scheduled at every 5 minutes. If you see, next solution, last solution 8050, next solutions 855. This is scheduled at every 5 minutes because there are a lot of background maintenance operation and simple needs to complete. That's the reason they have scheduled this in every 5 minutes. All the mandatory tasks is already there. Refresh anti-cube is to on the user. If we want to do something at a particular time, we can launch this task refresh anti-cube. Got clear. And one more question is that in the merging of the data of multiple entitlements, let's say that you have been identity. I took first identity attribute. You have been shown as an employee ID and set them down. You have taken the D, BID can be managed with only implied if suppose the only one unique identity is there. Can we do the same? Unique identity during creation and during the merging. Yep, you can hear. This is an employee. You can use it in the merchant. No issue. But you have to select a group member here only. That's fine. One last question. And these are in this group column. Now the data is coming up as a 5 different entries in each file, 5 or 3, whatever the group entity is the user is having. Now I have a data, that list of the data, the user entity, when the sound coming as a Thomas operated in a single column means all the 5 values are merged in a single cell value with a Thomas operation. During that also can, with the same approach, can we take it as a multiple entitlements? For that, see for that this employee, this monthly value will be enough. It will split down those entry into 5 different values. It is only to separately mention separator, only multi-minus option like this. Just do multiple. First of all, this multi-applications onboarding, how complex it is. I understand it is. I don't know how internally it works. It must be a big technology behind. I don't know if it is database technology or, I don't know. I want to understand really what kind of, because there is a lot of complexity is one thing. And second thing is the DBID. Where is it coming from? Who generates that? Is that Sailpoint team generates that, or is that is coming from the source system? That's the first question. First, to answer your question, do you know like how this application, you are all database and all for. If you see this here, if I go here, application definition for the standard application. Those are the standard application all over the world. For example, Active Directory, I could write, is a standard application. I should really use your member of distinguished name, those attributes. Correct. Now same with a Dropbox in with SAP system. Those are the standard at application. If you use any standard application here, Sailpoint already had all the coded here in the backend. You don't need to write any code. You have to just provide the conversation, your connection parameters. That's it. Everything code is already added in the Sailpoint library. Now see yesterday's and that library. Can you see that library and can you make changes to it? No, you cannot make changes. The existing adopters, you cannot make any changes. You cannot. Oh, why is that? I mean, if somebody wants is in some other format, for example, SAP is heavily customized by someone and the input will be different than the whatever is the vanilla. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead. And that is the case. And coming to your second question, you asked the wait further regarding the DVID. This is your financial system. It can be a DFB, it can be a UI, it can be a column, ID, anything. It's not in our control. Basically, when we work in our nation, there are different teams manage different system. Now, how they are designing their system. There was some appetite who's taking care of financial application based on his knowledge or knowledge that guy provided. We will use an employee DBID active privilege in the group member. By this, why they are using group member. It could be group membership or it can be used in title mandate. They can use access anything. That is their decision, like how they are taking, making a decision based on that. They are maintaining the data. This is a data that they provide to us. Basically, when you design in the inside, in internal to an organization, they basically will hold on to one like an anchor point is the employee ID. From there, they will have their own ID relative to that and connect that to the individual employee records. I mean, each application will have it is anchored to the employee ID. One of the unique ideas in the entire organization that mainly that every time they will use employee, but take a live example. Let's say this organization, they have different system. Let's say they have 100 system and now they have 1000 employee and 1000 employers are counted different system. Now, definitely they must be using some common attribute which can uniquely identify. This account is belong to this particular user. It could be an employee. It could be an email ID. It's not many that they or the 100 system will use employee. Maybe after 105 are using employee for the uniqueness. Correct. It's not mandatory, but definitely they will be using some unique. Otherwise, this will become an ambiguity issue. Every some use some uniqueness. Now here we use employee ID. Let's say employee is not present, but an email is present. What we will do simply in the financial application correlation. We will do this. What happened to this? I'm saying that some system are not using employee, in some system are using, let's say, email. I mean, as long as it is unique. But I don't understand why a number is not used in stuff. A number you use alphanumeric is stuff and alphanumeric. You use just alpha, that wouldn't make sense. But if somebody wants to do that in a unique way, yes, you can do that. For example, your account, the account will be created based on your email ID, not on your employee. There are many accounts which I and you're of the account again. There are many accounts which will be created based on your email ID. You have to provide your official email ID, then you will get those accounts. Same thing was also in that case. This is a scenario because employed is basically a numeric number to identify user basically, but employee ID also give you a uniqueness but same time a way to communicate. Some system also use employee to create account and for the communication purpose also. This entitlements that it is bringing in from different applications when you are onboarding these entitlements. And with the functionality ends with the showing what entitlements the user has or does. The user can get verified up authorized to those applications using these entitlements, or there should be some other application that has to take this information from this point and then go use the access management. That doesn't happen here. No. Only purpose is basically they are logging into financial system and this is the access that they have. It just we are bringing the data into silver system. That's only that the viewing purpose we have, that I mean that is not only for viewing purpose in the. I'll also show you how those people who don't have, for example, I'm the user, I don't have a, let's say, on payable access. How can I request for this? Like a self-service kind of thing, kind of exactly. Basically, when I joined the one agent, I got a basic access. But let's after 2 years I got the promotion. Now I have become a, let's say, a senior, any designation. Definitely I need some more additional access to perform a business task. What I do, I'll go to the self-service portal and I will request for those access. It will go for the appropriate approval. Then my manager and the respective owner will approve that request. The request will be assigned to me. Same time this is also one feature. We also call it access request. We also call it self-service and we also call it LCMan Lifecycle Manager, basically because this is a life cycle of employee. When the employee onboard into organization fuel access, they got at the day one few day will request based on their business need, based on the business task. But my thing is this group member, if an employee is a member of 5 groups, it's just showing for the information's sake that this person, it can be authenticated to that financial application. But the entitlements that the person has within that application doesn't go through the pay the sale part because sale. Why didn't they add that functionality that way? You said now I get one idea, didn't implement this into presented information that this is how we can add one more additional security layer. I mean, this is, kind of next level authentication that first user access will get authenticated. If I'm logged into financial system, if I am that access, then only I'll show that access will be. I think it will increase the overhead. And I think that could be one reason why organization, too much. It becomes like a thousands of tables and thousands of hundreds of dollars. Basically, you are accessing one system. Now first you have to go to 3, 4 validation route, then you will be able to log into the system. But this is only for the information's sake that this group member is giving here. And another question I have is, you must have some kind of a document that tells How do you onboard a real application? Yes, Z is two questions. Wonder what kind of information do we need for the application in a remote procedure? Call you know what is the. How do you connect to? That is one. You know something like that, and about all those you know which server, you know which, you know where it is running. What is the address physical? You know full path or something like that. You know that kind of a requirement document should be there, one and or. The second thing is you ask the admin of that application. Hey, the Sailpoint wants you know in this format if you can give me your user data. I mean, which is ridiculous because you need to do that at every single day or every week or whatever updates that will be hard. But that will be a manual process, which process people do and how things are done currently. Coming to first question, you have first question. Basically, we have a document, you know the application onboarding document and the questionnaire that we use whenever we are talking to a new application on how we onboard new application. We have to reach out to that application on our end. We to ask question. Based on that, we take some decision. This is how we learn board this application by updating this data weekly and all. Generally see, the way to use Sailpoint is you should have a direct connectivity to your system and there should not be any manual intervention in this process that only we are using. We are basically using the 100% your utilization. We are doing 100% realization of Sailpoint tool as an IAM security. That should be. I think that's the thing to do. But that is not possible because, as I said, every system, you know that application, every application has their own issues on challenges. Some has data issues, some has security issues, some has, they don't know how the application is complex internally. And sometimes they don't have any idea how to provide a connection. There's a number of issues when you work with different application. There's many issues. For example, their application teams, they feel that if they give complete access to you to the database, basically they will lose the dependency as an employee, employment first. Second, it can lead a security issue and they will be fired. This is a reason I do remember clearly. There was one big client in North America and I was working for application on building project and I have to onboard approx 80 application in a 1 year. That time we reach out to different application owner to collect the information. First we present, you know that client is using IAM to now. We have to onboard all the application in the same point to now. In order to do that, we need information from you. This is a template. We need information. We need your application type, how many users you have, what is a unique attribute to maintain, how frequently you update your system, anything we ask. But sometimes they said no, we cannot provide you access because we are not sure what you will do with our system. We are taking care of the system from a long time. This is our responsibility. Now, if we give a direct connectivity to you, what you will do, we don't know. For that reason, this is not with that client. This is a very common scenario. In that case, what they do with maximum, they provide a read-only access to us with that. We can only read the data. We cannot assign, like for example, the self-service, and any user can want to request for it. That is not possible. Only we do the aggregation. We get the data here inside the Sailpoint. We perform reporting policy, access. Basically, we use this Sailpoint as a tool, but we don't use as an IAM security end-to-end. This is a limitation and we cannot do anything based on the different client, different teams. For example, SAP system. A SAP system also provides that self-service and all those functionality. You can go to SAP system and you can request for SAP access. They have their lifecycle manager model all together within SAP system. But when you are implementing IAM, I am in the biggest IAM solution which will cover all of your application. SAP will only go to SAP application. Sailpoint will cover all type of application. Now client purchase a Sailpoint license. Definitely client want to implement all application within the same centralized system. But now SAP team will say that why we will give you access. We already have this. All this feature provisioning forms policy, workflow and all approval. Why we give you access, but the decision needs to be, totally depend on the customer, what decision they are taking. But as a consultant, we have to provide them what is the best recommended practice from the Sailpoint perspective and not from the Sailpoint perspective, any Ampere perspective. The purpose of IAM team management is basically control all of your employee and the access that they have on different system. But if you don't connect your system into centralized system, we cannot see the data at who is doing what access they have in that system, what they are doing it. We cannot generate any power. We cannot implement any policy. We cannot review their access. We cannot do anything. That is a minimum thing. You should connect all your application with an IAM in order to gain maximum benefit from the Sailpoint or any IAM tool, not the Sailpoint. Now, once you have all on onboarded or the application, let's say 100, 200, 300, some big companies may have 500 applications or whatever. Once you did that, if a user logs in, there is no SO kind of a thing enabled from Sailpoint. That at end of the day. Is anything happening from a Sailpoint to a user? That user does that. Does everybody within the company log into Sailpoint first? No, they don't log in. Basically, don't log in. The whole part of this is a managing your identities and providing reports. The limitation of this identity manager, just the identity manager, is just to understand and organize and view the data of all the users of all applications in one place. That is correct. But on top of that, Sailpoint mainly responsible for adding and removing your access day to day. That is automated within the Sailpoint and only few people are interacting with those requests. But it's not like your data is added into Sailpoint. Now we are just only using for report purpose. Generating different analytics and all know every day something is. Updating on my access. I'm getting requesting for some SharePoint resource. Some file is provided on the SharePoint server. I need that access. That will be happening through the Sailpoint. Let's say my business unit got changed. Based on my business unit, definitely. Ultimately, I will get some access on the new business unit and based on the previous business unit, I will lose some access. All those in and outflow automatically trigger from the Sailpoint. It must be not just used for the collecting data and providing an analytics and report and all it do a lot of things. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@therightuptalk.com.